Hello, everyone. My name is Kennedy O'Brien. I'm the mayor of Sayreville, New Jersey, and this is Conversations with Kennedy. This week, we have what will probably be the defining redevelopment of Sayreville. The way that I explain it to people is at the turn of the 20th century, DuPont and Hercules came up north, and they built their factories here in Sayreville, which, along with the Sayreville Brickworks, helped define our town. We were an industrial town for a good 100 years. I've met many people over the years that were in the DuPont Club, the 30-year, 40-year, 50-year employee clubs. Same thing with Hercules. As with a great deal of industry in the Northeast, it has left, and so now Sayreville has the opportunity to reinvent itself for the 21st century. So today's guests are Kevin Paulson and Mark Fetta of our Riverton project, which is approximately $2.5 billion. They're part of North American Properties, which is a very successful, very respected developer based in Atlanta, but they go around the country developing projects like this. They have a great formula, and that's why they were selected by Sarah. So with that, I'd like to welcome both Mark and Kevin. And Kevin, I have questions for you.
I'll give it my best.
I know you will. Riverton was the original National Lead site, and National Lead made paint pigments. And so they would bring iron ore down from the Lake George region of New York State, and they would barge it down, and they would offload it at the Riverton site, and there it would be further processed, and it was there for the better part of a century. That being said, there were some challenges that Kevin and Mark had to meet. So with that, from dirt to high rises, bring us up to date, if you would. The vision, the challenges that you've had hasn't been easy, but we hope the people of Sayreville have been steadfast in our support of your efforts.
And we appreciate the borough support. It's been an interesting 7 years. We've learned a lot. Obviously, we didn't know when we came into the project, we didn't know what we know today about it. We knew there were remediation challenges. The industrial activities created low pH groundwater. The acidic materials that were used to process the ore, impacted the groundwater. There were impacts to the land, but a big chunk of that was addressed before we got here. But we certainly have had ongoing modifications of the remediation plan as we've come in and created a new development plan. The prior plan included a regional mall. So when we came into the project, we really looked at the connection to the water that the industrial bulkhead provided, where the ore was brought in, as you mentioned, and saw that was an area that could be where the public could really connect to the water. And so our plan really centers around a waterfront village, if you want to call it that. It's a residential, office, retail, hotel, focused on the river, parking garages, so it's a high-density walking environment as you would find in a core downtown area. And surrounding that waterfront area, we have other commercial uses and other residential uses that will expand out from the core. Some of those will be surface parked, traditional retail. Some of those will be mid-rise and high-rise office, mid-rise hotels, townhomes, and rental apartments are kind of the extent of the plan at this point.
Okay. One of the things that because this project started in 2000 when I first became mayor, and it's been a long learning process for me on a development of this size and somewhat complex. Can you go over some of the challenges that you face, which essentially people say, well, they're moving the dirt around. When are we going to go down and have a sandwich in a cafe on the water's edge? And I don't think most people, including myself, have any idea of the challenges and the complexities that you face, and then the frustrating delays that you've encountered because of some of the things you could not have known prior to putting that shovel in the ground. And I think that's probably the big question that people have. Why has it taken so long? And it hasn't been from lack of want, hasn't been from lack of finance. It's been these unexpected challenges which accompany development of this size. You'd expand on it?
Sure.
Mark, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like most things, Kevin and I will double team.
Okay.
And first of all, Kennedy, we appreciate the opportunity very much. Spend the time with you this afternoon addressing the citizens of Sayreville who, at the end of the day, that's who we serve. We're here to develop and to deliver a great product, an expansion, if you will, of the borough of Sayreville. And your words about the history of the site are very heartfelt for me. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I've seen these cycles, been personally involved in these cycles of an industrial use being transformed to something that is the new age, the next step in society and moving forward. So it's funny, as you were describing the history, one thing that has stuck with me for the 5 years I've been here is how this site is really in a way sacred ground, just going back to the blue collar, the families that worked here, the moms, the dads who put food on the table, sent their kids to college. So this is the way we treat the project and the site, as that sacred ground in a sense. In terms of the challenges and unforeseen conditions, I mean, I could see the average person feeling that way, a casual observer as they drive over the bridge and they look at the Riverton project. But not to be trite, one of the similes I would put out is that a project like this, let's say Michelangelo, David, he didn't, sculpt or create some limbs and appendages and a head and then bolt them onto a trunk, a body trunk. He started with a raw block of granite. And again, to the casual observer, maybe somebody who lived out his back door for 4 years, somebody was taking marble chips out the back door and throwing them into a pile. But at the end of the day, he used the right side of his brain, which is the creative side, and he had a vision, and he kept going at it every single day. And if there's anything that I would like to, emphasize here, and that's our dedication to be there and chipping away at the marble statue every day. We do have a vision for it. Maybe it's a function of the experiences I've had on some pretty prolific projects around the country and actually even overseas. None of what I'm encountering here is unachievable, a surprise, because I've been in the trenches for 30-some years in this business. So even the contamination, I've been involved in a lot more highly contaminated projects than this site, and it's being cleaned up to the New Jersey DEP standards, and we're going to be able to stand behind our product. So I'm hoping that at least addressed a little bit of where you were going with the conversation with Kevin and I.
Yeah. Well, there's a great quote from, I don't know whether it was Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci, but the quote goes, and feel free to make it your own, "Within the marble I saw the angel, and I carved until I set it free."
That is beautiful.
Great. Which may be your motto, because
that is beautiful.
It has been a challenge, and both of you are well respected in your different parts of the development process. Mark, the first thing I heard from all the union representatives was Mark Fettis here, which is the greatest thing we could ever ask for. And Kevin, you have an excellent reputation amongst not only the people of Sayreville. When you came here, you jumped right into our community and became an integral part of it. And you talk with everyone and you listen to everyone. And you're to be commended. You're to be commended on taking that approach. And I thank you for that, because it gives people a certain comfort level.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Anybody that's ever had a garage door put on, or an addition, or a bathroom, or a kitchen done, and you go to the contractor and you say, "How long?" And the contractor always says 2 weeks. That being said, how long?
Well, I'd like to go back for a minute to something Mark said, and that this is simple.
As long as I can go back to saying how long.
Yeah. So, not that I'm deflecting the answer to that question, but what Mark and his team are accomplishing here is really unprecedented. This isn't your garden variety development,
no.
And there are some things that Mark and his team, the design and construction team, are doing that have never been done before, literally. So there is new ground being broken, so don't let his humility fool you. And an entirely new municipal grid is basically what we've had to build out there. Power, water, stormwater management, natural gas, communication, telecom communications. So everything is new. We have the sanitary system is completely new, serving a 300-acre site. So just a lot of technical aspects that have to be coordinated with the remediation very closely, and it's just a very deliberate and laborious process. And as Mark said, we want to make sure the end product is done the right way, that it's durable, and that the public is fully protected and we're fully compliant with all the applicable regulations, state and federal. So I just want to set that straight from Mark's comments.
You have all our confidence.
Well, we
so
appreciate
now put
that.
on your contractor's hat that's doing a new kitchen for my wife, and she's going to say, Kevin, it's a beautiful kitchen that you've designed. How long? So
it's a great question. We talk among our team about the North Star, that there are a lot of very long lead time items, and the horizon of this project is even beyond what I like to think about. It's not just a year, 2 years, 5 years. It's a multi-decade build out.
Yes.
It's 300. It's over 300 developable acres. So the market will dictate how that gets absorbed over time.
No, we've always known it's a 10 to 15-year project once it starts.
Right, and so you can't finish until you start, and that
it's a little longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we are fully aligned to get started this year. Physically, we are ready to start construction.
Right. So the salesman in me will now cut you a break. So what I'd like you to do is to discuss what's coming, what you have planned. Because the interesting thing in commercial real estate in New Jersey, because as opposed to any other place in this country, it's at least twice, if not 3 times as long in the planning process and the permitting process. I've had that told to me many, many times in my 20-plus years as mayor, that New Jersey is unbelievable. Matter of fact, they say many times when you finish out 4 or 5 years of the planning and permitting process, the market has changed, which you've gone through. As you said, this was originally going to be a fortress mall, and there are no more fortress malls. There's something in our past, not our present or future. So, but some of the vision that you have, and I know from speaking with you on a fairly regular basis that the gentleman who owns Bass Pro, he's so excited about this, he changes it every day. And he does. He changes it. He wakes up, he had a dream, and he said, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And I know Mark, coming from a construction background, grabbed him by the shirt collar and said, enough. We're going to start now. So.
Well, we will start, and he will continue to change it even after even after we build the building and his team comes in and starts their interiors. Johnny Morris is full of creativity. He's very passionate. He's a passionate outdoorsman, and he's passionate about conservation. He's passionate about guest service, which is fully aligned with the North American Properties philosophy of development. And so, he's a visionary, and he'll change that vision as the project evolves. So we're kind of building that into the equation, that we anticipate that there will be changes.
Yeah.
But
if you could pass along a recommendation, it's a perfect project for a guy. I don't think the ladies quite understand that there's hunting, fishing, camping, kayaking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to have a restaurant, and it's going to have a place to get a beer. And they can drop their husband off and come back in 2 weeks, and everything will be fine. If they want to drop them off for 3 weeks, the only thing I'd recommend is that they add the tool aisle from Home Depot. And then they'd have the perfect store for all the guys.
Well, one of the things that Mr. Morris is very excited about is the connection of this site and this project to the Riverton estuary. Right, it's a really important part of the. And I've learned a little bit about this just listening to the experts talk. It's an important part of the North Atlantic tidal current. The currents that run through the Atlantic, and they're focusing their aquarium features, and they'll be. I think the plan is for more than one aquarium in this store. They typically do a relatively small aquarium. He really wants to feature kind of the Riverton wildlife in this aquarium and set of aquariums, I guess you would call it, that he's designing. Mark, you have a little bit more detail maybe on what he has planned than I do. But.
Yeah, I think Bass Pro and John Morris and his entire organization, it's funny, when Kevin and I and some of the guys from ownership visited Johnny Morris and the Bass Pro folks at their headquarters, I was really impressed with some of his opening remarks where he's like talking with his team, and they all believe this. They're like, we're not really a retail company. We sell T-shirts and some really cool family-tied methodology for flies and so forth, but they're really a conservation organization. They think about their customers and the outdoors and nature and experiences that people can have, and they're a big investor in other properties, not just their own properties, but preserving not just in the United States but Canada. So that's really impressive. That makes them imaginative, want to deliver a great experience, and it's clear that some of the aquatic features and the marine life that will be in this building, they are committed to deliver something that has basically a 60-foot high, probably 40-foot diameter, fully glass enclosed water feature. It's a shipwreck, and it's probably 30 feet tall. Yeah, 30 feet tall. And it's something that they are the largest. I don't know if you remember this, Kevin, but they're the largest owner and operator of marine facilities like this in the country. So, yeah, they're going to make changes, but we have a very good relationship with them to where we can guide them in a manner that it's not going to slow up the project. Once the building starts, then it's going to be delivered.
So they're going to make Sayreville proud.
They will, and make it a destination for not just New Jersey, but for the whole region.
So I do have two questions for you. So there are two things that the women of Sayreville are number one on their mind. The first thing is there's very little shopping opportunity in Sayreville. So what do you see the shopping opportunities are going to be on this site for the women of Sayreville?
That's a great question. The retail environment has evolved over the last, particularly over the last 10 years. With the advent of online shopping and the combination of the advancement of technology and being able to, on your phone, have more computing power than, took man to the moon in the 60s. And being able to buy things from the convenience of one's own home and have it shipped to your door, it's really impacted what we call traditional retail, soft goods, apparel, shoes, home furnishings. And where the retail world has really evolved is more into experience. And so the retail presence needs to either have a really strong point of difference in product or service or an experiential component that is irreplaceable with online shopping. And Bass Pro is a perfect example of that. They are an experience-based retailer. And so I think that what you'll find as we build out this project over time, we'll start with some very traditional surface park, what I would call necessities, food and beverage, convenience with fuel, personal services, hair studios, lash studios. I think you'll find a mix of traditional retail, goods that you purchase, and we have, there's interest from a wide range of those retailers. But I think the core of our approach to the merchandising of this project is to weave in those experience-based retailers, entertainment concepts to bring the family to the site, a good wide selection of food and beverage opportunities, and those services. I can't name a particular,
Kevin, I'm
apparel.
giving you the chance to sell the sizzle.
Yeah, so it's not. But I can't name a particular apparel retailer that someone will come and shop in 3 years.
Experiential it's being invented as we sit here, because the change has come rapidly.
It has, and so those who still rely on, throwing some shirts on a rack, putting a sale sign on it, and hoping that people are going to come in and buy their shirts. No. It's just not a great recipe for survival in 2024. So as we build this out over time, as we start here in 2024, as we open the first facilities in 2025 and into 2026, and we work on the next phases of the project, because once we firmly believe that once we start, this thing will roll, yes. and that the various components will be absorbed by the market and embraced by the market. We've spent a lot of time right now kind of deflecting interest in the future pieces of the project, because we're so focused on the present. We really are focused on getting out of the ground and starting this train down the track.
Right. That's great. So
I would add, Kennedy, if it's all right.
Go right ahead.
It's really, as Kevin said, the experiential side of things. And there are some, if you would say, avant-garde retailers out there that do think differently than the traditional. Yep. They are expressing a lot of interest in the project. And it's also combine that with the amenitization of the site. This isn't just a collection of buildings.
That's a new word. That's a new word for
amenitization.
Me.
Well, that's
a new word. Did you make it up?
I did not craft David, and I did not make that word up.
That's a good word, though. That's a great word.
It is, and it's many things on our site, on Sarah's site. It's the waterfront experience. There's it's about 3/4 of a mile of waterfront just on the village portion of the site, which we refer to as Parcel C.
Is a public walk area, strolling?
Yes, promenade. It's really going to be phenomenal, because it will change. The experience will change as you traverse from the center core of the building, which will be more like a waterfront that you would see in, let's say, some of the bigger cities, at port, old historic port towns in South Carolina and so forth.
Baltimore Harbor,
Harbor, that type of thing, absolutely. Where the village comes down and it really engages with the river. Yeah. And that area is ready to go. We've built the table for that. We've rebuilt the marine seawall there. We've created the V-zone wall, which creates a 53-foot wide promenade, essentially, which will change and morph on a daily basis from week to weekend. Yeah. We'll have certainly many gestures toward the veterans.
When you first came here at your project in Alpharetta, Georgia, where I have friends that live, and I've asked them about Avalon, and they said it's phenomenal. It's so much fun.
It is, yeah. From Santa's arrival, ice skating rinks in the wintertime, summertime. That we haven't even spoken about the Village Green, which is a couple football fields wide, including the interstitial spaces next to them. Yoga on the park, movies at night. Yep. They're very successful there with Kentucky Derby.
I've seen
exhibits.
I follow it to
it's
some
phenomenal.
Degree. So.
I mean, we envision barges on the Riverton with fireworks that thousands of people will congregate on the riverfront there, and the amenities like the amphitheater. As we move north out of the village, this becomes more of a residential area, so it's meandering parks, little pocket parks to walk your dog, places to pull off, and Jonathan can do pull-ups over there, all that kind of stuff.
One of the things that I've heard about people who have gone to Avalon is the amenities if you live there. And
right.
I'm at an age in life where I don't want to cut the grass, I don't want to shovel the snow, I don't really want to cook. And my understanding is your concepts in other parts of the country is if you live there, everything's at your beck and call with the dialing of a phone.
Yeah.
Is that still the plan here?
Yeah.
Sure. I mentioned that Bass Pro, their approach to their business is similar to our approach to development, which is to bring the amenities, to bring the customer service and the guest engagement. So the buildings are important, but the spaces between the buildings are really more important to create these community gathering spots where people can come together.
No, I'm talking about if you're sitting by the pool in the condo complex you're living at, and you want a particular something to eat, that it will be brought to you.
Don't attribute this to me making this word up. That's the concierge. A concierge is a person who does a certain thing. Concierge for North American properties is a mindset of every staff member, from parking to property management, and they take a concierge approach to serving the customer, the client needs. And here it's 24/7 because it's, many residential occupants, office occupants, hotels, all the retail food and beverage that you and Kevin were speaking about. So that's, I think, really at the end of the day, we'll build something that's really wonderful, organic collection of 30, 40, 50 buildings, not of all a monolithic design.
Right.
I can go on and on for that. We don't have time today. But I think what will be superior to that is the experience that the residents of Sayreville and everyone who comes and visits the site, they will get that vibe from our operations personnel, the NAP operations personnel.
The big thing in Sayreville, when we have Sayreville Day, and I've said this to hospitals, I've said it to churches, I said the true path to the heart of the people of Sayreville starts in the stomach. That being said, I know you have had great success in your other projects in attracting the best and the better of the area restaurants. People in Sayreville do like to go out to eat. So this is a sizzle that you can get into, Kevin, because you have past experience in your other developments that have been enormously successful. And if they're successful, it means people like them. So if you could go into that a little bit about how you choose who is coming in to open up their restaurants.
Sure. So that's a great question. One of the things that we focus on is we bring this philosophical approach to the way we approach, we design, construct, and operate our properties. But each one is different. Each property is different, and that's because each community is different. So our one of our mantras is the best of Jersey in the heart of Jersey. That's what we want. That's what we aspire
Great
to be
slogan.
at Riverton. So we want to bring the best New Jersey operators, and that's not just restaurants, but retailers and service providers.
Mm-hmm.
We know that's going to be a mix of those local businesses and the national businesses. With our national footprint, we're not a huge company. We have 9 assets, 9 properties from New York to Southwest Florida. And each of those communities is different, but there are national retailers, national restaurant concepts, national apparel, as you asked about earlier, that follow us because they know they know us by reputation and by performance of creating places where people want to go shop, want to go spend time, and therefore spend money, and therefore that makes the merchants more successful. So we are extremely focused on making sure we bring a uniquely New Jersey approach to this and a uniquely Middlesex Central Jersey focus to this. We want to have the best brands that people know in other parts of Jersey for multiple locations, and we also want to incubate new businesses, give new businesses an opportunity to address those customers and those hidden surprises when you go to a place and there's something you've never seen before and it's new, but it's special. That's one of the things we want to incorporate into our community.
Well, I can tell you, as a resident of Sayreville, as the mayor of Sayreville, I'm very much looking forward to this. So sometime in 2024, we will move some dirt. We will bring in some foundation material, and we shall apply mortar to it, and we will set a cornerstone or the equivalent of Bass Pro, and then we'll be off to the races. Is that fair?
Most
fair
definitely.
to ask?
Most
Yes,
definitely.
sir.
You're comfortable?
Yes, sir. And there will be some facilities that open before Bass Pro. It's a big building. It's a 200,000 square foot building, and it's really the detailing. It's not just a big warehouse. The interior detailing on that building is very, very custom and time consuming. So
I would
so
expect
some
everything
of the
you do.
things that start after Bass Pro will open before Bass Pro, but we will have them
How
open
big
in
is Bass Pro planned to be?
200,000 square feet.
200.
200,000 square feet.
Well,
Yep. Yep.
And how many parking spaces?
Let's see, 1,144.
Bravo.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you are the future. You are the new Sayreville of the 21st century. We thank you for investing an obscenely large amount of money in us and believing in us and choosing Sayreville as the site for this project. We're gonna close this chapter of the Riverton experience to come back to again let Kevin and Mark sell some more of the sizzle. But I believe in the project. I have from the start. And great things can take a fair amount of time. There were unexpected obstacles over the last 24 years. But there was a commissioner. He was a freeholder director. His name was Dave Crabeel. And he was my friend. And Dave was a Democrat, and I am a Republican, and he would introduce me as a Crabeel Democrat, and I would introduce him as an O'Brien Republican. And it was Dave Crabeel who, on a handshake, gave me $36 million of county money to start this project 20 years ago. And there's not enough thanks that's given to him. He was a man of great vision for Middlesex County. And because of Dave, we have this project. So, Dave, I know you're up in heaven, but from a Republican to a Democrat, I thank you, and the people of Sayreville thank you. That being said, fellas, I will see you down at the site from time to time. And if you like the way this podcast goes, I'm going to invite you back for more. And it'll be fun.
You got it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much.
100%.
You're welcome
Yep, fellas.
anytime. Come visit us,
Thank you.
please.
All right, young man, take care of yourself.
All right. Before I go, I would say to you that if you go to the homepage of Sayreville.com, you will see a link to previous podcasts of Conversations with Kennedy. Feel free to click on anytime. Thank you for joining us.